With the reveal of Vox's backstory in the first episodes of Hazbin Hotel, I actually think we've been introduced to one of the more deeper and complex characters in the universe. Because while the other overlords seem completely satisfied to just live out their lives in hell, Vox not only shows a level of ambition and planning that is uncommon amongst his peers, but he also seems to be directly continuing on his path from his human life, something else that is pretty unique among the denizens of hell, most of whom have adopted either completely new or very exaggerated personas. And while we don't know everything about his backstory yet, and we're sure to learn more as the season goes on, I think we now know enough to speculate on who Vox was in his human life, what his motivations are, and what makes him such an interesting antagonist for season 2. It's revealed in the first episode of season 2 that Vox as a human was some form of cult leader, although it's worth noting that it's actually Valentino who suggested that it was a cult, whereas Vox himself insists that it was a movement. Vox has also been shown in some of his own videos in religious garb, and with the combination of all these factors, people have been led to believe he was some sort of religious cult leader. But I don't know if that's actually true. I think it's equally likely that Vox was some sort of political figure, and without going too much on real-world events, the idea that a politician or a political movement could be centered around a cult of personality is something that is very real, and it's been happening for a long time. Either way, Vox's goal is very clear. He craves attention and adoration. It also makes it perfectly suiting that his form in hell is a TV, something that's often associated with pulling people's attention and focus and even brainwashing them in certain circumstances.
America's most popular show already in progress. Everybody loves Hypnotoad.
And we know that this isn't a coincidence, because in Serpentius's human backstory, it was revealed that his sinner form is directly related to his actual sin. As someone who would watch events unfold without the courage or conviction to stop them, he was turned into a snake with several eyes, which is a pretty clear jab at the fact that snakes are perceived to have no backbone. As a complete side note, could not be further from the truth, snakes are almost entirely backbone, but I think the metaphor still holds. But the reason I find Vox in specific so interesting in addition to his backstory is that I don't even think his goal is necessarily to conquer heaven. I think that he shows a level of cunning and understanding that the other overlords just don't seem to have. One thing that's been made very clear by Velvet's confrontation with the Overlord Council is that most of them are completely content with the current status quo, and they are almost solely preoccupied by protecting the power that they have. And while this usually takes the form of more traditional means like protecting their territory, individual overlords are also extremely powerful, and their reaction to Velvet's confrontation makes it clear that they're rarely challenged, at least directly. And this could not be more different from Vox, who at least at a surface level appears to be much less threatening than the other overlords. We really haven't seen exactly what he can do, but it seems certain that he either draws power directly from the people who follow him, or is so good at manipulating and influencing people that he relies on the power of Velvet and Valentino rather than having any power of his own. This is also something that would be very typical of a cult leader or a political figure. Alistair seems to directly hint as much when he says that he would be powerless without the other Vs, something that could be taken metaphorically to mean that individually they are not very strong, or interpreted literally to mean that he is actually not a very strong demon on his own. In fact, I think there's a very real chance that if his arc ends and he ends up losing, it's revealed that he's no more powerful than a low-level demon without any of his followers. And although many have pointed out that Vox's plan seems delusional, because how could they hope to attack all of heaven, I don't even think this is his real plan. I think he simply wants to galvanize the people of hell by one of the most common and well-tested strategies of all time, establishing a common enemy. By doing this, he can easily cull those who refuse to follow him and manipulate those who do, either directly by sending them into a confrontation he knows or strongly suspects they will lose, or he can simply obfuscate and manipulate until he is powerful enough that no one can question his decisions. Either way, I think this makes Vox an extremely interesting antagonist, because unlike the much more direct and brutal overlords of hell, he seems to be significantly more focused on the long game, and nothing that we are seeing or hearing from him is really guaranteed to be his actual plan, because I don't think it's likely he completely trusts the other Vs either. We'll obviously see more about Vox as the season unfolds, but this is absolutely my favorite character to watch right now, and I'm really interested to see where they go with the rest of his story.